Ordered an interim. Looks like we are doing tier 2 commentary today. How do I join? That's the good question. Invite request. Short delay as we have needed to sort and commentating out. So we're doing tier 2. Well, here we are. We are doing commentary for tier 2. I have absolutely no idea what goes on. So here we are, 5 minutes to go. Winner of the Dutch Grand Prix, which is Oren, currently P1 by nearly 4/10, so nothing's changed. So yeah, Yannick, I think Oren is still championship leader, honestly. The best interim performance you'll ever see this. Right. Run through the field, I guess. So Oren in P1, Dello, left midway through, is now here in P2. Yannick in P3, Samurai, think P4, home race, no, that wasn't even last race on there. Callum in P5, Cookster, P6, who's been decent from what I've been seeing. Eggy, left midway through, is now back in his Mercedes, where he has spent pretty much every race of the last 5 seasons. Callum also came back this season. Christian, yeah, Dead Gun, a lot of people, I don't know, Fnatic had a 1 race cameo in tier 1, and Yonder in P13, capable of backed front finishes. Simmer Albrecht going through turn 1 on his flying lap, currently trying to improve from P11 on the timing sheets. Very good possibility for points for a lot of drivers here, as Dead Gun goes into pit lane, as we should probably focus back on the Sauber. In Sector 1 it is an improvement of 2/10, however still that will put him only 1 position ahead, as breaks into a relatively flat corner. But yeah, through the final sequence, the banked final corner, burning the battery. Up to the line for the Kick Sauber here. Can he improve on his P11? He does improve by just over a tenth, and that is enough to boost him up a position. 26 thousandths ahead of the car behind. Any other drivers on like notable laps? Let's probably focus on Callum, who will probably be the fastest. So half a tenth of improvement for the Alpine, as he is trying to improve on that P8. He only needs 3.5 more turns to boost position now. So you know, it's quite a spread out field, to be fair. As he will have the McLaren of Christian ahead of him, as this may me bit of impeding here for the Alpine, as I think he's goes right straight through him. Interesting, as well, Callum, he's back in front, so Callum up to the line using the lift is able to improve, but he's still 300ths off of P7. Still a good improvement for the Alpine, as we look to see who the next driver who will be finishing their lap is. Yannick, who currently in P3, has had a few good qualifying appearances, 2 tenths up in the middle sector. This would, for now, put him up to provisional P2, but will it? It will. Still, nearly 3 tenths off the pole lap of Oren, as Dello will start his his final flying lap, as now we just skim through as Cookster's part on the side of the road, as I think he is over and done with. And now Christian on his lap, marginal improvements in the first sector, as everyone apart from Deadgun will be on the track, as yeah, Christian. Can he improve on that P9? But he would have to gain 7 tenths in order to do so. I don't think he's able to do that, so we'll focus on Samurai behind him. He's got little to no battery, and Christian's just disappeared, and he stays in P9. Samurai stays in P4 after failing to improve on his lap. Callum to the line. Can he do anything to dispose of teammate off pole position? He can't. He stays P5. The Mercedes behind of Eggy. He's got a lot of battery to spread, so he could jump. To P4 goes the German, as Yannick, he needs 2 tenths improvement to jump onto pole. He can't get any improvement, so now Oren, unless there's any other competitors, Oren has secured himself pole position, even further margin, nearly 6 tenths of a second. Can Dello do anything to dispose of the Irishman? He can't. He goes P2, so Oren continues his redemption arc, and he claims pole position for the Dutch Grand Prix, amply named the winner of the Dutch Grand Prix. We forgot about it. Well, yonder, yeah. 10 seconds down, yeah. So this is your grid for the race. Well, there you have it. There's qualifying. Despite joining with 5 minutes to go, pretty, I'll say heated. The same bloke started and ended on top. As Oren, 0.565, probably one of the bigger margins we've seen, although probably not even one of the smallest. As yeah, so Dello in P2, stellar season from him despite going out halfway through. Yannick continues a good form from what I've seen, and Eggy just always up there. Like, you know, he's never straight out in front. He's always there. Quite overcast on the Dutch coast here. No idea what the weather will be this race, but let's just have a look at what sort of tyres the drivers are choosing. So, the majority opting for the hard tyre. So far, only 3 on the mediums. This race, well, with the quite well-known tyre wear, especially on the front left tyre, it will most likely be a 2-stop race, as we see on your right hand side of the screen. More people opting for the mediums as... Oh, well, it's time for the formation lap. I didn't even get like a warning. So yeah, here we are, as the track is underway for the formation lap. It looks, everyone quite slow. Might as well check out, like, well, there are your strategies. A 2-stop, and probably no one's going for a 3-stop, but you know, people can always change their ideas. So yeah, there you go. So all but 4 drivers on the medium tyre, which means they'll probably be boxing within the first 12 laps of the first third. So 12 of these drivers most definitely going for the 2-stop, and then again the 4 on hards. It's not going to be an easy 1-stop either. This game, especially the front left tyre around this track with all the banking, more notably around corners like the final one obviously, and half of the second sector, you can see just the sheer amount of left-handed turns. Has someone just left? I generally can't tell if someone's... Oh, Christian's left. Your game card. Is that... Well, as... We've sent him an invite. I don't think... Is anyone else gonna... We've been just... I swear I saw a notification saying someone left, but could have just been my imagination. As, all 13 drivers tonight have lined up on the grid as we wait for the 5 red lights to start the Dutch Grand Prix. The engines are whirring here on the Dutch coast, and it's lights out and away we go as Oren gets quite a decent start, but Delo's nearly been able to match him. Eggy's is able to, for the start, jump past Yannick, but Yannick gets past. It's the medium tyre against medium tyre as 2 of the hard runners drop to the back. One of them, Christian, who I don't think has come back into the lobby yet, as Yonder battling with one of the hard runners, as a bit of wheel locking between the 2 drivers. Eggy gets past Samara after being briefly overtaken, as, would you look at it, 3 of the 4 hard runners are now plumb last. Well, Callum is the exception here. He's fighting with Fnatic. 1 race cameo in Tier 1, fighting with a Tier 2 veteran here, side by side through the second sector split, and Fnatic is able to make easy work of... Well, I'll say easy work. He was overtaken. He was ahead in the first place. Well, no surprises there. Oren, 1.4 seconds gap. Took him just nearly 1 lap to open a gap of DRS. Is Yannick now with the battery? Adelo is burning, so is Yannick. Will he be able to close that gap into turn 1 and potentially overtake, as DRS has been enabled here, as Yonder now gets past Callum, and that means that all 4 hard runners are now 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th, as Christian has made it back into the session, although it might have been a bit too late for the start of the race. we see any, or we might see a fight here. Callum and Samurai, two of the closest competitors on track right now. Although Callum is not able to. But I don't know what I'm talking about. 2 seconds now, so 7/10 in literally a single lap. So now 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th within a second of each other. As Oren sets another fastest lap, as Yannick uses the DRS and the battery to fly past the Mercedes, as the other Mercedes of Eggy gets past. But can he pull around the outside of the Williams? He can't buzz, so Samurai reclaims P4, or claims even. Positions gained. Yeah, he claims P4 from the German, who falls down 1 position as down at the back of the field, Albrecht in the Sauber overtakes Deadgun, so it's hard on hard. I think, well said, won the Dutch Grand Prix here in Season 9 in dominating fashion in a title fight with the now departed Sebastian. Obviously, in that Aston Martin has come back just over a year later. Just over a year later. And is storming this track as Dello uses that battery and the DRS to overtake into P2, claiming that position from Yannick, as Yonder in P8 claims the fastest lap of the race from the Aston Martin, which is quite a feat, to be fair, this season compared to everyone else. As a lot of drivers picking up grass on their front left tyres, trying to open up that right-hander as much as possible, which is obviously causing excess wear on the front left tyre. But yeah, lap by lap the gap goes up and up, and the battery, yes, he might have got half the battery, but it's not getting depleted to the levels you'd think it'd be. Oren, 4 laps in, already 3.5 seconds away from his nearest competitor. As well, it's a 7-car DRS train fighting for high-end points here, as Yannick using the DRS but can't get close enough to perform an overtake into turn 1. Probably one of the favoured overtaking positions for the drivers here tonight, as well as turn 3, Tarzanbocht. Really just the short radius corners have the preferred overtaking positions of the drivers, as Christian has lagged out again. Not a good start to the race for him. Second lag out in only 5. Yeah, this train here, it's really, well, it's quite entertaining. There hasn't been an overtake this lap per se, but we might be able to see one here, as they're all burning battery, but no one's really getting close. Cookster might be able to get a run here on Callum. He throws the move down, but it was too far to send it. Apart from Oren and Fnatic, all the medium runners are in the one big train, as the hard runners have distanced themselves from each other. Deadgun trying to apply pressure to the Sauber of Simmer, but so far to no prevail. Oh, as who was that? That was Cookster. Slid, hit the death curb, smashed the braking board, and that has dropped him down a place, and now in the mercy of Fnatic, who's got a full battery and DRS to potentially catch the Red Bull, who was in a quite a decent position in the DRS train, fighting for P7 with everyone else. As that might be an interesting fight to spectate. But now we go back to the front of the field, as we might potentially see an overtake here. Well, we won't there, maybe, I don't know. Anyone makes an overtake this lap? No. Everyone playing it very conservative, or the gaps are just too big for the drivers. As so far 7 laps in, no one seems to be showing any visible struggles of tyre wear. However, I may remind you, the front left is probably the most worn out tyre for anyone in this position right now. As just a leisurely Thursday night drive for this man right here, just pulling away further and further without even having to burn a single calorie. That's probably a really bad acronym, but who cares? Yannick. I mean, we can check the battery situation just before the straight. Delo's doing quite well to conserve that battery, so he probably might be able to withstand another push here. As Yannick, he's got a lot less battery than Delo, but he is in the suction here. Will he be able to perform an overtake into turn 1? It's RB versus Mercedes. He backs off, so there won't be an overtake here per se, and I don't think there'll be an overtake per se for full stop, unless here we see Simmer, quite a poor exit, so dead gun with a lack of battery. He's able to pull to the inside and he sends it into turn 1, but will Simmer be able to withstand the attack, as they are still side by side heading into turns 2 and 3? Bit of contact, and dead gun has to back out or face the wall. So there goes an overtake. Eight laps in, still around a quarter of the race to go, 3/4 of the race to go. I've invited while we come back onto this, the two competitors for P11 and P12 go off simultaneously at the death curb. As a bit of contact between them two, and Simmer's the one of DRS, so he might be able to pull away here, as I can't get into the onboard camera. As we might need to focus back on this fight, as Yonder has the pull on Callum here, and down the inside he goes alongside and does perform the overtake if it can get into T-Pod cam here, as Yonder up a place. I don't think there'll be any more overtakes down the pack here though, between the hard runners, who are really shooting themselves in the foot here, as Simmer now has a 13-second gap to the car of Callum ahead. Not the longest pit lane here in Zandvoort. I think a pit stop will set you back around 21 seconds, if I'm remembering from my racing days. So already nearly putting himself a decent length behind a fellow hard runner, which might just be game shot here for the Sauber, who I couldn't tell you anything about points because I don't have standings or anything, because as I may remind you, I am here as interim for the week. Could say it's work experience. As we have a first pit stop, Callum on lap 10, so he is definitely locking in the 2 stop, as the Aston Martin mechanics bolt on a second set of mediums. So I presume that would be the same Aston Martin in the pit lane, just 10 laps later. As will he be able to get out? Bit of contact here between the guys for. So yeah, Callum is out ahead of the 2 drivers behind him, who quite aggressively are fighting each other. They went off once at one point. Simmer just picking up more grass onto that front left tyre of his, as now Callum is going to try and push as hard as possible to firstly get himself higher up in the order, boxing down in P7, but secondly potentially try and help his teammate here, Oren, who I think, let's be honest, he doesn't really need much helping, as Oren's in the pits now, so unless Dello boxes, so no, Dello will take the lead as Yannick into the pit lane. So the two Mercedes yonder doesn't box as well, so it's a Mercedes 1-3 with a V-carb in the middle as Fnatic and Cookster jump up to 4th and 5th, Callum in 6th. Oren gets out the pit lane, now has removed the pit lane limiter, and there's a yellow flag, so I'm assuming that's dead colour spun. So Yannick, so 2 more medium runners, so Callum 7 seconds behind his teammate, and Oren will now have 10 lap fresher tyres and potentially try and undercut the gap further to the field, or it could be the tale of opposites where the top 5 can overcut, although 6 seconds overcut is probably unreasonable. So Oren, I think, playing the safe game, not trying to risk any sort of punctures, as we saw last week actually in a tier 1. Redfire Tiger stayed out like 20 laps or too many laps on the hard compound tyre and ended up getting a soft puncture a lap from the end, so that probably ruined his weekend. As Dello into the pit lane, will he be able to get the car stopped in time? You can see the graining on that front left as Eggy takes the lead, so Mercedes not opting for the double stack yonder in the pit lane. That pumps up Fnatic to P2, Callum into P3, and that will result in Oren, after 1 lap, being up into P4. 2 seconds to the car ahead, Callum, who's obviously not in his fight. And here we are, we'll be able to see, will Yannick get ahead of Dello? So yes, so the undercut clearly worked as Callum tries to get ahead of Dello. A bit of a lockup for the Mercedes, as can he get a better run out of Tarzan Bocht to try and overtake? I don't think he'll be that risky to send it into that, but here you are now. So only 5 drivers yet to pit, 3 of those in the top 3, as you see. Oren now has closed the deficit to the top 3 here, or at least Callum in this retrospect. So it's a 3-way fight for P2, although Fnatic and Eggy will probably box this lap. I don't think they'll try and risk it any further. Callum, on the alternate strategy here, will probably be overtaken, as getting up close and personal right now, so I don't think Oren's not willing to wait here. He's trying to get past the Alpine, and I think now will be the time that it happens. Into the pit lane, Eggy stays out, Fnatic also stays out, so here will be an overtake for P3 here. Oren using the DRS, using the battery, and makes no mess of the overtake into turn 1. Callum knows it's not his fight to play and lets the Aston Martin by. Now that is Oren behind Fnatic, as we got an overtake. Dello past Fnatic, as Oren's going around the outside of Fnatic through Tarzan Bocht. Quite a ballsy overtake, and although the 10 lap fresher rubber does help, that is a fantastic overtake from the Aston Martin, who's running away with it in this race, as Simmer boxes, Dead Gun box as well. So Christian, who still hasn't rejoined, I'll send him another invite, because what am I supposed to do? He's last seen 10 minutes ago, so I'm not even going to bother anymore. Field's now quite spread out. We saw a few ranges of strategies. So the cars from... So Dello and Yannick chose to go medium to hard, which will mean they'll save mediums for their last stop. Callum's gone a second set of mediums, and the 2 cars behind him are opting for medium tyres towards the end. So Callum will be one of the only ones on hards towards the end, as well as his teammate as Eggy boxes onto the hard compound tyre. So he joins the medium to the end club, unless these drivers have any thoughts of going 22 laps on hards, which I doubt they will. So I didn't even realise Oren in the lead already, has got a 2-car buffer to net second Dello, as in third Yannick, trying to put those hard tyres to use as Callum as it stands, is in net P4. So he has used that undercut to good use, and now he'll have softer, more grippy tyres to potentially fight for a podium here. As Christian, well, his lapped car just does get overtaken. As a... Oh, Oren! Through the final corner, makes a mistake. Is there front wing damage on the Aston Martin? I don't think there is, but that's a huge mistake for what we thought was such an easy drive for him, as Callum's in the pit lane. Serving, so 14 laps, so that will leave him with 2 11-lap stints on mediums, I presume, if my maths is correct. But yeah, Oren makes a mistake, and that halves his gap to the cars. As it was rare to see that sort of mistake, but you know, it's bound to happen. Not everyone is perfect. As he was very lucky to escape with no visible damage. So the question is, can he now keep a cool head and, well, finish the race? Hopefully as the leader for him. I think some drivers behind were probably hoping it was more serious, potentially even the loss of a wheel, which would have promoted Dello to the net race lead, although Fnatic, sticking out on those 14-lap-old mediums, must be quite close to a puncture. I think we might see the Haas driver boxing this lap, although I'm not so sure considering the last few rounds of pit stops. So yeah, stays out for another lap. Does did he box like no? So yeah, the only driver not to pit, and he's gone from 7th to 2nd, which, you know, for him is quite a good result here. But he might be getting on the nerves of quite a few drivers behind. But yeah, clearly that damage meant nothing to Oren, because he's already 6 seconds ahead of Fnatic, who is only 3/10 ahead of Dello. So, well, I think sigh of relief from the Oren camp there. In terms of the Aston Martin fight, though, Callum, not really, after electric start on those mediums, is unable to apply any pressure to the cars ahead, who are both on hard tyres, as Fnatic now says it is time to box onto another set of tyres, as oh, he gets a 10-second in the process. Fab. So there you go. Now I think that is everyone's shuffled into relative order, although I think Fnatic might overtake a few of the back markers here in due course. But here we are. I think this is like the set for after the first round of pit stops. So you got Oren in the lead despite a scary spin out the final corner. Dello in second, who started second. So the top three back to their qualifying positions, although only one of the top three needs to make an additional pit stop due to going double medium. That is only 3 drivers out the entire 13-car pack to be forced to a 2-stop, although I do think everyone will be on that 2-stop strategy come later laps, as well, it's nothing really I mean, quite a narrow track, this, also described as a roller coaster for some drivers. Obviously in real life last year it was a turning point for what people thought was the championship, although I will ignore that because the Samurai's overtaken as Callum, from in the space of one straight, has gone from 4th to 6th. The car of the number 67 has fallen from 4th to 6th. But yeah, back to what was my talking point. Last year in real life Formula 1, this was the turning point in the championship, as you had Lando Norris retiring on this corner right here due to an oil leak in the car, which allowed Oscar Piastri to jump up to 34 points in the lead, which got overturned by the time we rolled around to Mexico, which saw Lando Norris take the championship lead and eventually become the 2025 Formula One World Champion. As we also saw, in quite ironic fashion, a Visa Cash App Racing Bull driver claim their first podium, Isaac Hadjar, who inherited it from being P4 the whole race and just overall having a stellar, one of probably his best weekend of races in his career for the Frenchman in his rookie season, as Yonda gets past Samurai here. So it's Racing Bulls 3-4 and Yonda doing what Yonda does best, as Callum is in again. So that was a very brief stint on the on the medium tyres, as Yonda has gone from last to fourth. So he does it again. He always does this, where he just starts out from nowhere, and he's always finds himself in a profitable position. As the second and third here, I was about to say the top two, but it's not the top two. Fighting for second here, you got, I presume, the two Germans. Oh, I'm so stupid. So a German car and a Luxembourg person? Oh, I don't know. A Mercedes versus a Racing Bull here, potentially fighting for a podium. Is a bit of a mistake there from Yannick, which will allow Yonda to get up close and personal with the rear of that pink V-carb, the Miami Special, as he doesn't use the slipstream. I'll try and pull alongside. He won't go for it, although there was grounds to potentially look for a send, as second, third and fourth have slightly pulled away from Samurai, who makes a slightly mistake there, as Eggy goes flying past the outside of Cookster, as now that's the order, for now at least. Will Callum be able to use 16 laps on Haas to his advantage and potentially climb up the order, as Oren's now got DRS from the lap car of Christian, who did he disconnected twice and has apparently, looking at his Xbox profile, he turned off his Xbox, so clearly doesn't really want to take part in this race. So that'll be probably a DSQ, go to par league rules. So Oren, it's more assistance for him, as he has DRS for just this long straight, as definitely won't make the slightest difference, as he is still 7 seconds in the lead. So that spin clearly made no change to his dominance here, as the name of the prefar of the name may suggest, as Cookster is now in the pit lane. So not really fighting with anyone in this second stint, as Fnatic will have that 10-second penalty to serve, which will promote a few drivers behind him. So Callum now, I need to check the gaps, but Callum, can he get ahead of? Yeah, so that was a no-brainer. Now let's just have a look at this, because I'm quite interested. So Fnatic's last lap was a 13.2, whilst Callum's was a 13.1, so only a 10th gain for the driver on fresher rubber. However, you can see how spread out the field is now. So closest pack here is second, third, fourth and fifth, as they are the closest together, although they're still equidistant, as Oren is now in. So Dello and everyone else will bump up a place as long as no one boxes. So now it's 14 laps on the on the hard compound tyre, I say medium, as Dello is now in the lead. The Mercedes, who started out the season at Red Bull, has now taken the lead of the Dutch Grand Prix, although he will still have to make a pit stop, as he gets by Eggy Oren here, as he is lagging, unless that's just me. Has had problems with connection in the past, so I think he will not be able to contend further than he already is. As it's 10 seconds now, the gap between 5th and 4th. And overall, that gap is like 11-12 seconds. So we'll come back around this time next lap to see if Aaron's been able to make any dents in the 4-car train at the front of the field. As so far, Dello, no DRS. He's too far away from Christian to use the lapped car DRS here, as there won't be an overtake into turn 1 for any of these 4. As Cooks is getting quite close to Callum here, as he sends it into turn 12, where we see Russell and Leclerc. Bit of contact between the two. I don't think Callum has any damage there, but it's too hard to see between the Red Bull. Is that a loss of a front end plate for Callum? It is. So, loss of a front left end plate for the Alpine here, which might harm him, as Cookster went flying past in that Red Bull. Similar incident to Russell and Leclerc in the race real life this season, as Christian has now been lapped by the top 3, as Samurai has DRS, even though he already had DRS from the cars ahead. But at this rate, it will make not the slightest difference for the Williams, as he would have had DRS anyway due to being within a second of the car ahead. Yannick dips away onto the gravel as a dead gun pits from the middle of nowhere. So he will probably become the second lapped car unless the top 4... So around 1 lap later, the gap has gone from 10 seconds to 7.5. So 2.5 seconds gained in 1 lap. Not bad for Oren, championship leader, race leader for a lot of distance. So now 2 cars have been lapped, Christian and Deadgun, as Deadgun makes contact with the pit wall, I think, exiting, or that might have just been my imagination, as Oren sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Here we are, the top 4 separated by just over 1 second, which, you know, come the end of the race probably won't be a true story. However, as bask in the glory while it's there. 12 laps to go. Callum Pitts, will he be replacing the front wing that he lost? The front left end plate that he lost from contact with the Red Bull. The wing's been taken off, so yes, it has been a wing replacement for the Alpine. And there's a yellow flag, and that is Deadgun, who has spun. Can't see any damage. He has broken one of the brake boards, but he's just allowing everyone past, so that's another brake board gone. Yeah, so can't see any damage, and we have to focus back on the fight for here as Samurai. What happened to Yonder? We were too focused on Deadgun that we didn't notice. So Yonder, clear an issue, so Samurai gets promoted to P3 as Oren sets another fastest lap, and the gap from 5th to what would have been 4th, but now is 3rd, is only 5 seconds, which, you know, well going for the Aston Martin, as Deadgun does have a loss of a front right end plate, so you'll dive into the pit lane. Close to the pit wall there, so very up close and personal, as so Deadgun has now been lapped by everyone up to 9th. Not a great performance for the Red Bull, is it? He hasn't replaced the wing either, so I don't know what will happen as Simmer goes off the mediums. I think he started the race on the hard, so it'll be either or here, as it is a set of yellow tyres for the Sauber, promoting Callum up to 10th. So far it looks like it'll be Callum who inherits the P10 here. Although the front 2 pits, so Dello and Yannick box off the hard compound tyre, as Samurai inherits the lead from Yonder, who is only 7 tenths behind. I just heard a bash against the wall, although I think that might have been a tyre gun, as Dello goes onto a set of hards and Yannick goes onto a set of mediums. So it's differing strategies for what was the top 2. Anyway, so Fnatic, he's still got, unless he goes to the end, he has a 10-second penalty to serve. So I think he will be serving that 10-second penalty in the coming laps. As yeah, Yannick and Dello have a job here to try and carve through the field while their tyres are still fresh, as well, Yannick will have an easier job at the start, but eventually Delo's tyres will be a better grip state as those mediums will decay at an exponential rate here. Is Samurai in the lead. He opts to go into the pit lane without any consequences. So does the front two here. So Oren reclaims the lead here and seems to... Well, the gap will be over 12 seconds as Eggy stays out again, and Fnatic will be just behind him. Fnatic on lightning speed here, down into turn 1, and it's Fnatic in second, despite the 10-second penalty. I'm sure he'll be delighted with himself. Obviously, 7th to second, probably still has to make a pit stop, but for now he can bask in the glory that he is in second in an EXFL Tier 2 race. A few drivers picking up grass on their front right tyres, trying to widen the track as much as possible. As the next car to be lapped will be Simmer, so that will mean everyone up to 11, well, I would say that's only 3 cars because there's only 13 drivers racing. Started the season off well with attendance here, like 20 racing for the first 3, and then it's just dropped off to the point where we've got 13 racing. So that's the situation we're dealing with here, as well we might see the top 2 boxing this lap. Fnatic, I think, well, if Eggy's been able to hold on to 13 and the top 2 previous were able to hold on for 15, I don't see an issue why Fnatic and Eggy could carry on. But Callum, could he potentially upset the 2nd and 3rd here by claiming a podium after having such a poor start to the race, as Delo closing up on the rear of the Aston Martin? So currently Yannick trying the overtake on the Mercedes, as Mercedes has a bit of a shocking exit, and now it'll be RB versus Mercedes all over again, as well, we don't see an overtake here, but this could be a pretty feisty fight. Right now it is a 5-way fight for the bottom 2 steps of the podium, as one of the cars in this fight does have medium tyres, and using those medium tyres to good use as he pulls alongside Delo into turn 12. He goes for the move, and he does try and stick it around the outside here of the Mercedes, very close and personal, nearly touching front right to rear left here, and Yannick with a stunning overtake to go up into P5, and now he has to chase the entire pack ahead of him. Brilliant move from the RB here, who has been putting on quite a show, as Samurai sets the fastest lap of the race on those medium tyres. So now it is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 car fight for the podium here, although we might see a few drop off as Delo has a bit of a mistake, and that allows Samurai through. Well, they're side by side here, but they'll probably be through. No, he won't be through. What am I on about? As Deadgun picks up a penalty, although Delo quite lucky to escape without being overtaken there. Is checking in on race leader Oren, who just swimmingly, as my phone drops to the floor, swimmingly driving this race. Has obviously won here before, so it won't be a first rodeo for him, especially in the Aston Martin, as we might see Eggy potentially box this lap, although it's 6 laps to go, so it'll be very risky if he does stay out. So he does stay out, so I think there might be either a late pit or no pit at all for the Mercedes, as there's a yellow flag, and that's a bit of contact there between Yannick, but was that Callum off? I think Callum was off, but Samurai and Yannick side by side, a bit of contact. Samurai lucky not to spin into the wall, as that got a bit close and personal between the 2 drivers. I'm trying to see if Callum had any damage from the incident. I'm presuming he spun into the wall. No visible damage, although damage isn't always visible. As yeah, we only got the very end. I also saw like Yannick was half spinning through part of the track, so that might have been what caused the chain reaction. One half spin led into another half spin. As Oren will start lap 31. 6 laps to go here in Zandvoort. And to be fair, there's not been many overtakes, but when there have been, they've been quite fascinating. Whether it's a high difference dive bomb into turn 1, or if it's around the outside of a small radius corner, it's been quite a show. As a Samurai, quite close to the car that caused them to half spin, just a lap ago. Is blinking a lot of drivers in the range of 30 to 70. Oh, it was Callum. What happened there? Is that... What happened? Is that a puncture? Or is that just a really awful... I think Callum's got a puncture by the way he's driving. But yeah, Callum. I actually can't tell. No way you got a 12 lap puncture on hards. Or that might have just been an awful... I honestly, probably less said the better about that. As here we are. Fnatic's got a bit of breathing room, although I'd say 6/10 isn't the most breathing room I've ever seen. As here we are, we are on a side lap 32 ages ago, and here we are here. The two Mercedes here. Mercedes team rival here in 2026 as Dello to the inside of his teammate. So Dello using lap tyres that are 3 times younger to advantage, as now Dello is 3/10 behind Fnatic, who is not boxed yet, although don't know what's going on. As Callum overtakes Yonder, so I don't think that was a puncture, or else he would have been in the pit lane. I just couldn't tell you what happened. I think it might have been an extreme loss of grip for the Aston Martin, who did peak at P4 in this race. As Oren has disposed of his 3rd lapped car, and now he's only got a 10-second margin to Callum, who is currently quite comfortably in the points, although he did have a scare through the curb of death as he starts lap 33. 4 laps to go here, and the gap just keeps going and going. It's 18 seconds now. We could potentially see a 20-second victory here for the Aston Martin, as just trying to eye up any overtakes, potential or not. There we go. Callum is overtaken by Yonder, who uses 6 lap old mediums to 14 lap old hards. I think this might be the end of Callum's fighting adventures. We've got Yannick quite high up on the banking as he uses that start to barge by Eggy, to be quite said. Oh, bit close and personal, as Eggy does leave the room for Yannick to go around the outside, and on 7 lap old mediums he is up into P4, which will turn into P3 after the applying of the 10-second penalty for Fnatic, or if he drops off, as Samurai and Yonder going at it. Samurai trying around the outside of the Racing Bull, as we've still got the 7 cars in close contention. This is probably the closest fight we've seen, although there's not been much movement. As 3 laps to go in this one. No one's I think it'd be stupid for drivers to box this late, but I don't predict any over... Oh, actually, we do have an overtake. Yonder going down the inside of Eggy here. 20 lap old hards. Not a fight for the Racing Bull, who has been passed by both... Eggy has been passed by both Racing Bulls in the space of 1 lap, as Simmer's got a 3-second penalty, so that probably sums his race up, really. As a Samurai around the outside, tries to go around the outside of the Sector 1 split corner, fails, but it will probably get another shot, considering those 20 lap old tyres are probably shot. But yeah, Oren starts the penultimate lap. He's already made it 20 seconds the gap Could he extend it to 25? Probably not 30, but 25 seconds could be a decent advantage here if the 7 cars continue bickering on. As Dello or Fnatic might be pretty safe here, although I wouldn't be so sure, as Yannick had a better exit than the Mercedes, but they were probably both absolutely, well, not really lightning speed, but they're closing in on the Haas, who, you know, probably be gutted with the 10-second penalty considering how his race is going. Eggy drops a further position down into 7th, as that is 21 laps on the medium. I'm surprised they haven't punctured yet, because knowing my luck, those hards would already have 2 punctures. As currently the fight between the 2 racing bulls to who will get the final place on the podium between them, as Fnatic, unless he appeals, which I doubt he will, the 10-second penalty will drop him all the way down into P8. You know, great race for him. He's kicking himself. Oh, if only he didn't get that 10-second penalty. Like, oh, if I didn't get that 10-second penalty, this would have been such a good race. But then you have to think about it. If he didn't get that 10-second penalty, he'd probably gone for a 2-stop. You know, it's the balance of life. As Oren begins the final lap here, as well, he's got absolutely no challenges really, apart from the brief periods where he was boxing and other drivers took the lead. As these are the overtakes that will count at the end of the day. As I think it's quite separated into tyre wear, as well, as Callum has caught up to the Haas of Callum, sorry, Oren has caught up to the Alpine of Callum, who, will he be lapped? I don't know. I think he might just get lapped for the sake of finishing the race 1 lap early. As don't think there'll be any overtakes into this part of the track, so we can calmly go on board with Oren. And for the second time, to my knowledge, the winner of the Dutch Grand Prix does in fact win the Dutch Grand Prix, spinning across the line. The Aston Martin wins at Zandvoort and extends his championship lead as we go back to this 7-car fight here for second. Fnatic, he is absolutely kicking himself. He definitely thought, you know, after this 10-second, he had nothing to play for. But here he is. He'll cross the line, most likely second. A great result here at Zandvoort. So Dello will claim second. Yannick gets third. Yonder fourth. Samurai 5th, Eggy 6th, Callum 7th, and Fnatic, after all he fought for, goes down to 8th. It was a valiant effort, as Cookster will be the second penultimate car to finish. Callum gets the final points, Cookster P9, and for the first time in a while, there's not been a single car to DNF, although Christian, despite spending the whole race in the AI mode, will probably get the grand old disqualification. As Christ, should we do interviews? I don't think we should. Nah. Christ. Well, that was an interesting one to say the least. Oren wins by 22 seconds. Probably, I think last time he raced here, as a winner of the Dutch Grand Prix, won by 30. So I don't think it's even his biggest win at the Dutch Grand Prix. Dello in second. Well, the first top three finish how they are. Yonder from 13th to 4th, so another stellar performance. Misses out on the podium by just over 3/10. Samurai gets the fastest lap in 5th, although I don't think it matters really. As Eggy, 20 summit laps on hards. Fnatic, yeah, Fnatic, he definitely... if he didn't get that 10-second penalty, it would have been sweet dreams for him. But yeah, I don't think we'll be performing interviews. I have been your interim race commentator, so expect to see someone else here next week, although you might hear my voice again for tomorrow, because I'll probably be commentating Tier 1 as well. I have been your commentator.